Alright guys, so in preparation for doing my house, I have a bunch of slabs to do. So I only have one power trowel right now. So I figured it would be a good idea to get a second one as a backup, or maybe we can run two at once or something. But whatever the case is, you don't want to be in the middle of a slab and have a power trowel break down on you. So it's definitely a good idea to have two of them. I do have the cover for it, it's right here. I'll put that on when I'm done. So I'll show you guys my other power trowel later, but this one I think is a little bit nicer because it's got a clutch on it. I bought it for $200 and they said it needed some carburetor work, so let's get right into that. You can see it runs good, it's not getting fuel. Little petcock right here, that was open, but let's just take the hose off right after that. Okay, we got fuel there. This is what was in the bottom of the bowl. I don't think that that's anything other than water. I think that's all water. It smells like really old gas, but I don't see any gas in there. I think that's all water. Let's see if that even... That's pure water right there. I just turned the petcock back on, and everything that's coming out right now is all water. The tank has gas in it. I know that that's fairly new, but the gas hasn't reached the carburetor yet. You can't really see it on camera, but that oil is pretty milky. Can't really see it unless you look down in there, but it's pretty milky. But being that this is not a water-cooled motor, it's not going to be a head gasket issue. I can already make an observation here. This is the fuel pump, and this is the inlet to the fuel pump coming from the gas tank. And then I'm pretty sure this is a vacuum hose coming off the motor to power that pump. So I think what happened was there was water in a tank and it made its way into the pump, which then backflowed into the motor. I bet you that's why that water is in the motor right now. So I think at this point what I'm going to do is take this fuel pump off here, make sure it's not damaged from water, because it could rust something out inside and corrode it pretty good. This is still dripping water. You can tell instantly because it beads up a little bit on my hand. If it was gas, it wouldn't do that at all. But it's still pouring water out of there. There's all water in there. You can see how everything's all beaded up. That's all water. And then there's little residual amounts of gas, which is making it beat up. But yeah, this whole thing was full of water. It's still got some water in it. Okay, well there's nothing really going on inside this pump that I need to worry about. So I'm just going to make sure this is somewhat clean and put it back together. Okay, this is coming straight off the tank. That is pure water right there. I smelled the gas tank and it smelled like it's got good gas in it. I just figured the guys put brand new gas in it. And they probably did, but there's still a lot of water on the bottom. Alright, so we're at the point now where we're starting to get some gas. I gotta put it in a container. That is gas, but it's pretty old. And it doesn't appear there's much in there. Guess we'll flush a little bit of the old stuff out. Alright, that's pretty clear now. I think there's a good chance I'm going to hook this back up and it's going to work just fine right now. Alright, so let's open this up. Give it a minute for that fuel to get in the carburetor. And we're going to fire this up. I knew it was going to be something stupid like that. Briggs & Stratton 8 horsepower. These usually run pretty good. And it looks like it's in fairly good shape. Doesn't look like it's crazy old. What fooled me though is I smelled good gas in here. So I automatically assumed that what was coming out was good. And even to the point where I drained it out of here and I got some on my fingers and I could smell it. But somehow it must have been mixed up at that point because it was all water. There was only a little bit of good gas on the top. I was definitely fooled by that though. So what that means is that this cap or something on this tank is leaking somewheres. Must be a crack somewheres, and maybe in these bolts, underneath these bolts, it could be that. The solution to that for me right now though is just keep it out of the rain. I'll fix that later. It's not crazy rusted like you would think something was left out in the rain would be, but I guess if it's got a leak, all it takes is one time being left out in the rain. So let's drain this oil out of here, put some new oil in. Yeah, now you can see it's kind of milky. It's hard to tell. It looks kind of foamed up, but at the same time it's really light colored and it looks a little bit thinner. I'm noticing something strange here. This muffler right here is facing right towards the operator. I don't know if that was the design from the factory, but either way, that's just not going to fly with me. I can't believe they would actually design this from the factory. I think somebody put this on afterwards. It must have been, because there's no way they would design it like this. So let me take this off and see if I can put a 90 on this. That looks like regular pipe thread to me. This end is a little bit weird. Maybe they welded that? I'm not really sure. So this is the power trowel that I've had for a while. This is a Stone, and it does not have a clutch on it. I guess this one was made in New York too. I've had this for a while and I haven't had any problems with it. On both these power trowels, there's grease fittings right on these little things. There's a little cap right here. It's important to keep these greased up, otherwise these blades don't move the way that they're supposed to. And what will happen is while you're power troweling, one might be stuck in a different position than the other ones, and it'll make it off balance. Sometimes that's why they're off balance, and sometimes they're just bent. But both of these power trowels are fine, they're not bent. So what happens is these blades turn, and that little area in there needs grease every once in a while. Otherwise you'll have a really stiff dial on it. Like this one was actually getting a little bit stiff too. I haven't greased it in a long time. So these blades, as you're moving them, you can see what's going on here. It just pushes and pulls on this part right here. this little lever right here. So the cable pulls to tighten it up, which steepens the angle on the blades. The more into the finishing you're going, the sharper you want the angle on the blades to put the most amount of pressure per square inch. So you'd want the blades like this. When you're starting out, you want them flat, and then you tighten this up, which in turn turns these, makes them steeper. So it's important that this shaft is greased, as well as each one of these with these grease fittings right here. You want it to move pretty freely. These blades that are on here are combination blades. They're 14-inch. That's the only thing I've ever run, so I couldn't give you a comparison to the other type of blades. I've just always used combination blades. They have different blades for the rough part and then for the finished part, and then they have combination blades which does both of them. And I also have what's called a pizza pan, and this is for using before you start troweling. So when you walk on the slab and you're sinking in an 1/8 inch or less, that's when you start troweling. But before that, probably when you're sinking about 1/2 inch, you can actually use this pizza pan here, and that actually gives it a better level of finish, gets it a little bit flatter, because you're using the cream when it's a little bit more wet and it moves around easier. You're kind of slinging the cream around on the top before it's even ready to use the power trowel, which in turn puts more cream in some areas that are a little bit lower, so you can get a better finish, more flat, with one of these pizza pans. Unfortunately, this pizza pan never worked for that trowel, because that trowel is about, I think it was like 3/8 of an inch too big from blade to blade, outside of blade to outside of blade. So let's see if it'll work on this one. I'm hoping it will. So this power trowel does work with this pizza pan, but I don't like the connection that it's making here. You can see it's only touching one little spot right here on each one. I'm really not sure why this pizza pan has them going this way, because you'd have to have the thing in reverse to do that. I don't know, maybe some of them do run in reverse, I don't know. It's supposed to hit flat against this, but this will work. The most that it'll do is wear a little groove on these. And I guess what I could do is keep an old set of blades, because I'm going to replace these blades before we do any pours. I'm going to put new blades on both of these. They both take the same blades. So I'll keep the old ones around to use for this pizza pan. You can see the shape of these blades is like a herringbone, whereas this one is just a straight, like, cross, I guess you could call it. See the difference there? So it puts it at a different angle, which if it was going in reverse, it would actually be perfect. Maybe I have the wrong pizza pan, I'm not really sure. I guess I could always just take these off and weld them on right here. Even if it's not super balanced, I don't think it really matters. Definitely eases my mind to have two power trowels like this. Ideally in the future, I'll probably get like another 4-foot trowel. But these 3-foot trowels have done everything that I've needed to do. and especially having two of them, you can have two of them going at once, make it a lot faster. So that's been good to me. I was even looking at one of those ride-on trowels because I found a couple of them for pretty cheap. I thought that would be pretty neat to have one of those. But I suppose I'm not really ready for that. That's big commercial projects, and I don't really know if I'm ever going to get into big giant projects like that. I still thought it would be neat to do small projects with it though. Probably more work than it is anything else, but these will do fine, and then a 4-foot power trowel will do even better. This one is also 8 horsepower and that one's 5, so maybe that'll make some difference too. I never really had it bogged down to the point where it needed more power, but maybe now that I have more power, maybe I'll notice a difference. Alright guys, so I just wanted to do this little video just to show you guys this new power trowel and to kind of get them ready for the projects that I got coming up.